Good evening and welcome to tonight's meeting. Today is Tuesday, October the 4th, 2022. The time is now 6 p.m. The regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Trinidad will now come to order. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Damon, would you please lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
DeBono.
Here.
Griego.
Here.
Ogletree. Here. Shu.
Here.
Thurman.
Here.
Williamson.
Here.
Rico.
Here. Item 2, approval of the agenda. Council have any changes that they would like to make? Hearing none, entertain a motion.
So moved?
Second.
Second.
Call vote, please.
DeBono.
Yes.
Griego.
Yes.
Ogletree. Yes. Shu.
Yes.
Thurman.
Here.
Williamson.
Yes.
Rico.
Yes. Item 3, policy item and staff reports. Mr. Ruger, do you have anything in particular to report tonight?
Mayor, nothing for me, just the update from the Arts and Culture
Okay.
Advisory Committee.
Okay, then 3A, update from the Arts and Cultures Advisory Commission. Who is going to be reporting?
Hello, everybody.
Hi. State your name, please.
Joyce Miller. I'm
Okay.
the chairman of the Arts and Culture Advisory Commission, and this is Babs McKnight. She's our secretary.
Beth, you say?
Babs.
Beth. Okay.
Okay. I want to thank you guys for allowing us to come and giving you an update of our committee. We're actually pretty proud of some of the accomplishments that our commission has made in the last couple of years. We had several projects that were in the works from the previous commission. You know, we've had kind of a turnover, and we were able to address them. One was the installation of the horse statue that Hans Droog did at the roundabout. The other was this circlith sculpture at Main and Santa Fe Trail that was placed. We created a public art tour brochure for all of Trinidad's outside public art and museums and galleries. We acquired plaques for all of the art, showing the artist and the title of the works. We contracted with artist Gary Hessling for a dog park statue, but we still have one project left that was in the works, and that's the Metal Roses project that Gavin Carey needs to be finished. It's going to be installed over here next to City Hall, and it is making progress, so eventually. This year, we've renovated the blue OXO sculpture that John Wilbur did that was previously at the roundabout. We've completed a master plan, which I believe you all have, for Arts and Culture Advisory Commission, which gives our commission guidelines for future acquisition and for the art and different projects that we might be doing in the future. Mr. Hissling has finished and installed his sculpture at the dog park, which I believe you have pictures of, and it's called Frisbee Dogs, and we're very proud of that. We have updated our public art tour brochure to include new art that we have, and also a couple of new galleries that are in like at the Space to Create, places like that. And we are planning on helping to renovate the Maze Museum murals underneath the Commercial Street Bridge. And we have funded Shayla Hartman a project at Central Park. She's working on a large tree stump that's out there, and she's going to shellac it and make it into an art piece. Our future endeavors, well, we possibly would like to do a collaboration with one of the other committees, maybe even the Creative District, and we want to find an appropriate place for the OXO sculpture. Right, we're having a little trouble finding a place for it.
It has to be inside, we have decided. And it's pretty big, and finding an inside place that will accept it. We think space to create.
May. I think they're taking it now and putting it in there to store, and maybe, there's somewhere we can, get them to, find a place in there for it too. And hopefully, this year we can fill our commission. We've been missing at least 2 or 3 people, this whole year, and it's been a little bit more difficult to do stuff because of that. But, that's our update. And does anybody have any questions?
Get some questions from council. Anybody have any questions?
Ma'am, do you network with anyone when you have the first Friday art walk of each month? every
Oh,
month?
yeah, I go around, I
Yeah.
don't.
That's not ours.
Yeah.
That's not yours?
No.
No,
That's,
this is
um,
the city commission.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the city.
And we work simply with the art for the, and we know about these other committees. And,
Right.
and we try to help them, but no.
Just thought I'd ask.
Yeah, no, I'm friends with a bunch of people that are out there, and, I know quite a few people that's in there. But ours is a little different from some of the other, art, committees and things that they.
Thank you for everything. Yes,
Oh,
you do.
thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, any other questions?
Any questions?
I have a question.
Mhm.
On your master plan, did you all do that yourself? Or did you
Well,
hire it out?
No, we did it ourselves, but we had several work sessions, and we also brought in people from the community to project what they thought would be good. And then we found, one of the other members, Christy Rogers, she found a template that we could use to do it, and we kind of created it, by putting stuff in that. So,
We read several, like Colorado Springs and some from California, and tried to take what was applicable to.
some of them were pretty big and were just too wieldy for us.
Right.
But I think we were able to come up with something that seems pretty substantial
Very
for the future.
You should be
But if
commended.
you have not seen the brochure, we're rather proud of this. I mean, the city helped us, but it's a art walk, and it's for tourists. And so you can take it and walk all around Trinidad and see the art and who the artist is and why it's there. And I think this is something new that most of you probably don't know exists, and we're just,
Eventually, we plan on maybe getting an app so that people could use it.
Good idea.
But right now, the map, and we have all, we hope we've got all the galleries, and hope we have the museums that are involved right now.
Have you gotten any feedback on that from anybody?
When we first put it out, yes.
we had the streets named wrong.
Oh.
Yeah.
That'll get you a lot of feedback.
Yeah.
No.
It was our first time out, and it kind of like, but I think we've got it under control now, at least, and it's a work in progress, as we add
Sure.
stuff. And our master plan is involved, that's how we acquire the art, to put it into the art walk and have it convenient for everybody to find and see, so.
And it's kind of for the tourists, bring the
Right.
tourists. in.
Well, that's what I meant. Did you get any feedback from them?
We've given out nearly 1,000.
Yeah, and we're gonna give out, the rest of the ones we have now, we just got in the new ones, so we're gonna distribute those to the hotels and the motels and the information centers and different art galleries and stuff, so, it gives everybody a chance to say, oh gosh, that's a neat statue, but, you don't know who did it or what it is or whatever, so
Sure.
it works pretty good, so.
And we do have the plaques for all the art, which was very difficult. You wouldn't believe how difficult.
Oh, I'm
They
sure.
are not up yet. You can't ask Karen Wolf to do it for you because she's so busy.
Yeah, she is.
She
busy.
needs a whole lot more people. And she has that and those roses, and she just hasn't gotten to it with
Yeah.
not
But she
enough
does a
people.
great job. She
She's
does a great
wonderful.
job. And so does our
And our liaison.
Our liaison. She guides us. She was a big help with the master plan too.
Great.
She was. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
You all have done a really good job, and I mean, when I think about that you came together and you were a new group of people that
Yeah.
were addressing the Arts and Culture Commission, I'm really excited about everything that you've gotten done, and you have really followed through. And I love the master plan because I think it just gives you something that future commissions can work with and not get lost in the weeds.
That's what we were hoping for, yeah.
Yeah,
And it's not too wieldy either, it's
Yeah.
just, just a few pages.
yeah. And I like your focus on that the point of our public art is to bring people to the city.
Yes.
For people to enjoy, which is good. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Just, when we were doing the river cleanup this last weekend, there's a plaque down there that has, you were talking about Tommy Mays. That plaque is really graffitied with black paint and everything. Have you talked to the city to get that cleaned
We're
up?
working with Talitha. I think there was a project to try to get rid of the.
Yeah, they were
graffiti.
doing painting, but they
Yeah.
didn't have any way to take that, if you can paint that
Are you
plaque.
talking about his?
There's a big plaque under there that he did the
Right,
mural and that,
right.
and it's all spray painted with
Right.
black.
Well, we're hoping to get that cleaned up.
Yeah, cause I
and-
think the city has a machine, the police department that's
Right.
take that off. Cause it wouldn't be worth paint, I mean, you can't paint it, cause it's engraved in there.
No, and there's another plaque that's over, where the waterfall is, that
Right.
is kind of hidden too, that goes with that, archway, but,
I mean, it's a shame that people
I
do that
know.
graffiti, and it was.
So
you know,
one
it's
of
a
our
real-
goals is to work with other commissions, other groups, like the river, group or the rec, and work together and not try to go our own way, but
Work to, just
get
have
together
projects together.
and what, they know what we're doing and we can help them what they're doing.
That chairman's meeting that we have every 3 months is very helpful, I think, so, anyway. Okay?
Other questions?
Just wanna comment, I'm really a big fan of the dog statue.
Oh, really? Good.
Me
And,
I know Gary's gonna be very happy about that.
It's very
In
nice.
fact, I had somebody come up, they just drove up to me one day and I said, oh, have you seen the dog park statue? So it's nice, it is.
And this is very cohesive, with what we have going on in the art district. I
Uh-huh,
think everything is now coming together in Trinidad as far as
yes.
the arts and, all the river cleanups and things that happen on Main Street with the, Space to Create.
Mhm.
Everything's looking like it's coming
I'd
together.
like to give credit to Christie and to Wally,
Yeah, big time.
because they're the two that got this going and got it
Yeah.
done, one in the city and one just as a volunteer, and
Right.
good people.
Yeah, it is. Okay.
Thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Don't run away. Don't run away.
Don't run away.
Don't run away. I just wanna say congratulations, you guys did a pretty good job, a great job of this. I was the liaison several years ago to the arts and cultures, and back then it was kinda iffy, but it seems like you've come a long way since then, and with, even though you've been short personnel to help you, you guys have done a lot of work this last year, it looks like, and so you guys have really reached out. Just wanted to mention to you, it's good to hear that you're really willing to collaborate with some of the other commissions. It only makes sense, especially with the creative industries, to come together with them to, 'cause I think it just, as we develop more of the creative industry side of things, it's gonna be more important that all of you work together. The other thing I was gonna say, your brochure here, have you given that to, or made a presentation to the tourism board?
I'm going to give, we'll be sending everything, we just got them in,
Okay.
got them in this week, the revised ones. And so, we'll give it to tourism, we'll give it to anybody who wants it, so.
Cause they will probably wanna put this with some of their brochures, I know that they are spreading some of their information to some of the hotels in town, and they may wanna put this as an additional piece in there, for people, and so I think that would be great.
Okay.
I'm not sure, how many pieces do you have available?
1,000? We have I think it's 1,000, yeah.
Oh,
We
you
have
do your
1,000.
presentation.
We don't wanna do too many because we keep revising it,
Sure.
so.
Oh, yeah.
But I was gonna say, I just, thank you, and the master plan,
I
I think
have
was
one
very
more
well
thing,
done.
is we're always looking for places around to put art. And some of, like the dog park was really easy, but like this OXO, and there's some other places we've looked at, like Capitol Hill, we can't use it. Where do we go? And if you have any idea, rec center,
Something.
and what should go there, we would like to have input too on where we will be using local artists, I'm sure, to.
Yeah, we would like to emphasize using local artists if at all possible.
I think that is good that you use a local talent to do things like, do some of this artwork.
But we'd love to have you say, oh, I want one in front of my house.
I just want to say thank you for all the hard work and,
Yeah, well, it's a pleasure. We enjoy it, and, well, most of the time we enjoy it.
That's
And
about as honest.
it's really rewarding when you hear people getting all excited about the dog park statue and all that, that type of thing, so.
do you have any prospects at this time to fill your boards, your commission yet?
Not right at the moment. There's a couple of people in town that have just moved here and they haven't been here a year, and I think I might be able to recruit at least one person. And she's an artist and her husband is an artist, so that would be a good mix. But we need two people right now to, cause sometimes we're having trouble getting a quorum, and one of the guys on our committee, he wants to leave, and then one of them just passed away. That was really sad.
When do you have your meetings?
Thursdays at 4 o'clock.
Second Thursday.
Is it the third?
Second
Okay.
Thursdays at 4.
You say that you're having a little trouble sometimes getting a quorum. A lot of times, it's the time for the
Yeah.
time.
Uh-huh.
So that would be something for you guys to look at to see if maybe that is the right time to get everybody. Okay.
We should look into that, that's for sure. Yeah.
Anyway, thank you, good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
On item 3B, First Street Project Update, Mr. Just, Public Works.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. Steve asked me to give you an update on First Street. So Audrey, would you pull up the site plan, please? This is the project. Goes Convent, Commercial, Maple, Chestnut, and Courthouse, and we'd like to do Maple Street as well as Chestnut. So currently, we have plan and profiles for all those streets. We have intersection details for all these intersections. We're getting a lot closer. Mr. Eden, I checked with him before we left today. We're about got storm sewer wrapped up. Electrical design was done by Shelley Farrell as an engineering firm that we consulted with to do, because we want to put the electrical underground. So, we didn't want to bring all the plans in tonight, because we probably have over 40 plans right now. Audrey, would you bring up the plan and profile, please?
Just before you, we'll talk about it in a minute, but we do have some major concerns about some of those turnouts. We'll talk about that a bit.
Okay, and I'll probably end with an intersection detail, but this is a typical plan and profile sheet. We're basically running, so it's just showing you and the contractor who builds it. We have the profiles of the respective flow lines, the edge of concrete, the edge of the brick, edge of concrete, and edge of flow line. That's why there's 4 profiles on there. So it's actually a very important piece of the puzzle that took a lot to produce, and we have those all completed. So go ahead and bring up the intersection detail now, Audrey. Thank you. Okay, so that is a detail of the intersection at First and Convent Street. We do have these bulbs that you talked about. the bulbs provide two things. Number one, it shortens the pedestrian crossing, so they don't have as much distance to get across. They worked well on Commercial Street, so the big difference between this project and Commercial Street is we actually widened the actual brick. This is 2 foot wider than what Commercial Street is, so these bulbs and these turning radiuses is gonna even be easier to make, so. I personally thought Commercial Street is too narrow, that's why I actually widened this, so.
You know,
It's not a lot, but it is 2 feet.
That is where one of my concerns is, it's not the one on the First Street side, but the one going down on Convent. You know, putting those little bulbs out there just narrows that down so much that anybody who has any kind of a piece of equipment that's trying to turn down there, that radius does not really, it's a narrow street anyhow. And I just have a lot of concerns with that bulb going down Church or down on Convent there.
Well, like I said, these were actually widened, they're 2 foot wider than Commercial Street. They all have, radiuses that is for commercial traffic, so I think it's gonna flow fine.
You're talking about the First Street side, I'm talking about the Convent side.
Right,
Going
so,
down.
right,
But you're not widening the street though. You're just widening the walkway, right?
well,
Because the street's gonna be narrower. If you're adding 2 foot, it's gonna be more
we
narrower.
actually, if you compare it to Commercial Street, it's 2 foot wider, the brick lanes are. We have 2 12-foot lanes versus 2 11-foot lanes on Commercial. So the actual drive lanes are wider, so it makes the radius to easier to procure because, or to make the movement because you have the wider street, so. We still have 8 foot parking, we have a 5 foot walk on each side, so.
Bob, so I think the mayor's asking, you know, people are turning down here on the Convent. These bulbs that are coming
Yeah,
out
I'm
here.
talking about.
Right, yeah,
It's
Mayor.
narrow. It's really narrow.
That's a one way, isn't it, Bob?
That is correct,
Okay,
it
that
is
makes
one way,
sense. Okay.
so that helps a lot.
That helps a
See,
lot.
this area right in here is what I'm
So
talking
that's-
about,
that
I
matters.
just am concerned about this area right in here.
Okay, so
Yeah, that one way.
like Neiman said, Convent is one way here, so you come here, you can either make a right-hand movement, or you make a left, and you're going into this, so you have plenty of room to make a left. If you wanna make this movement to turn down Convent, you have plenty of room here, cause you're turning from this lane over, and we have, we've checked it, we have plenty of room if you're coming up First Street and you wanna make a right-hand movement to pull on down to Convent Street as well.
Personally, this is what I would think, is that you'd eliminate that and move this bulb back over this way to here and open that up. That's what I'm thinking about.
Cause it's a one way, so.
Yeah, it's a one way.
Let me ask you this, is there a sidewalk that street, right, and it's those curves are thick. Is there I guess that would be ADA too, right?
All these, absolutely, we're putting in ADA ramps that meet the compliance of the cross slopes and everything.
The other thing I'm looking at here too is you have this bulb sticking out here and this doesn't line up real good down in here. And that's the same thing that I was talking about, is if you go and move that over a little bit, that's what I'm thinking. Cause you have this is straight, but this bulb is kicked out and this goes down quite a bit.
I think what they tried to do is they took the lane of traffic here, and if you project this curve and look better, it's projected with that bulb there.
Cause you know, to be honest with you, I have a lot of, I have issues with a lot of the bulbs in town already. The way some of them are, they're just sometimes very inconvenient to drive through, quite frankly.
How much sidewalk are you gonna have to replace on both sides there? Because those sidewalks are extremely high. There's
Just
probably
go back to the
16,
site
18
plan.
inches high.
Right there by the housing.
That's why.
And then that curb and gutter there at the old taxi building is kind of a narrow sidewalk there anyway.
Well, and that's partly the reason with it, that intersection is exactly what you said, at the taxi building at Convent. But, this is kind of we just had problems with trying to keep the existing, their drive under at the convent in the taxi building.
Right.
And there's a gutter too, under there too, like on all four of those, like a drain.
Yeah, we're putting new curb and gutter, and that's correct.
It's called the Raccoon Highway.
No, it's a lot going on in those gutters.
Do-
I understand the bulk.
One important question, do we have enough money to do all this?
I don't know until we bid it. We have an estimate of 5.4 million right now. We're just seeing numbers that we think we know what they're coming in, and then all of a sudden they're different.
Higher?
Generally higher.
I mean,
We're
we know
hoping-
that, but that's what
we're
I'm saying.
hoping-
How much higher are they being, we're
Well,
gonna eliminate
it's-
some of that project?
The way we're gonna phase it, if we can't do Maple or Chestnut now, we'll definitely get all of First Street. We're gonna bid it, so we have an alternative to do Maple, alternative to do Chestnut. And we ran into some bad news, unfortunately, when they did Commercial Street, between First and Main. I don't know when that was done, 5, 7 years ago. Brand new sidewalks, bricks, everything. They didn't update the sanitary sewer. They cambered it, and we found out there's a break in the line, and it may continue to flow fine, or might get a call from the bank next week and say, hey, our sewer's plugged up. But the low clay line is broken. So we're gonna do an add-alt to replace that line, but that'll add more money to the project too. There is a possibility that we might, I'm gonna talk to Tara Marshall tomorrow. We still have some money on our sewer main, and not, when I say main, trunk main. And that's the way it was earmarked. It's for the big trunk main that basically carries the sewer line out to the plant. See if she'll let us use that money for that. I don't know. All we can do is ask.
That's important. I've always thought it was curious that there is not a stop sign when you're headed south on Commercial. At First, that is a street that has the right of way, not First. It's very confusing, and it seems like to me it'd be better to have a stop sign that's on Commercial, and then Main goes straight through.
I can't make excuses for, I think the reason is because you're going uphill in the wintertime. If you stop on that hill, you may not get going again. But it's something we could definitely look at, you
I'm
know.
having a hard time to stop too, so.
Right. It's something we could look at.
Yeah,
So.
it's never made a lot of sense to me.
We can go back and look at that intersection at Convent, but I do remember now that was the reason, is that overhang on that building is what caused the location of that bulb there.
But the other thing too is I was gonna say, you know, if you run
Because we
into.
still have to have there's still vehicle access to go underneath it.
You know, anytime you add, you know, little intricacies like those bulbs and stuff, that adds quite a bit of money to the project. And if you look like you're short some, you know, money, now, you know, you might just wanna eliminate those bulbs on those areas. That way it'd save yourself some money.
What is a bulb?
That's a little, these little things right here that kick out.
Okay.
Just like we have for AV. But if you eliminate those, how would you do the ADA?
Yeah.
Well, that's, like I said at the start of it, the reason we had it is, it really, the benefit of the bulb on Commercial Street is it shortens the pedestrian crossing at the crosswalks. It's a big benefit. So
But is it that necessary on that Convent side? I mean, on that First Street side, is it really that necessary? I can understand like on Commercial because it's a busy street.
It's residential, I think that's what it is, 'cause
You know what?
you get residential right there on
I will tell you to take into consideration, because we have one of those, I guess you call it, a bulb, right there in front of our office, and nobody can make that turn. That curbing around that part of the street is all caved in.
I saw that today.
Did you?
I think it's a combination of problems. That concrete should have never settled, so it did, unfortunately.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm actually talking about the curbing around people, and you should, now that the marketplace is down there, you should see the delivery trucks and they cannot make that turn
Mm.
from Plum to Commercial
Yeah, they clip that curve all the time.
quite a bit. Just an FYI.
And they're gonna have to repair that.
We are. So, yeah, I was down there today, I talked to Steve this week about procuring a concrete crew in-house. I mean, there's so much concrete work that we could do in-house if we had the guys. So,
Yeah,
we could go out.
we brought that up before,
Yeah.
and you said something about, you know, you didn't know if you could do it, but I think that is a really good idea. We need to get something going.
When Mike was,
Yeah.
we had that discussion.
And Mayor, if I could please, in your opinion, are the bulbs necessary and appropriate? I mean, you're the engineer and you know, I think you should opine on that, Bob.
Yeah.
You know,
Like I said, I totally agree with Karen. I think that on Commercial Street, the street's too narrow. But by widening, we were able to give additional turning radius. So I think the turning movements are gonna be fine on First Street. And it does give us that added benefit of shortening the crosswalk for the peds.
right.
So, it's just kind of it's a thing that we find that with the ADA ramps and whatnot, it presents an easier way to cross the intersections.
It helps to ensure ADA compliance.
That's correct, and ped safety.
Right. Thank you.
I think the other thing that the bulbs really do is they make the town more walkable,
Good point.
and that's more inviting to people. I think it really makes a difference. It will cause people to be out and about more. I think. I mean, it's fractional, but it all adds up. I, for one, you know, I know it's a big adjustment to see commercial happen like that, but man, it makes a difference out walking around. So I think it's important that it's done right, but I think the bulbs add good aesthetics and also make the walkabout experience more enjoyable. I think it's important.
And I think it helps with the speed of the traffic.
Slows down traffic. a
Slows
little
down
bit,
traffic.
which is
It
actually
does
good.
tend to curb speed of traffic. That's another thing that they do. That's correct. But like I said, I personally thought that Commercial Street was too narrow, especially down in that lower area where there is a lot of traffic that goes on, especially when before we saw the decline in sales. And if somebody wasn't pulled up tight to the curb and they opened the door, it's just, you know, me and the previous planner had serious discussions about it. He thought, you know, Hebrew was all keeping it, he wanted to narrow it even narrower than the Commercial, and I told him I can't. We gotta keep it wider, because we do have, back to like the Galleria and those different restaurants that you got service trucks and stuff that have to get back through there on First Street. So, when they have an event over at the Mitchell, you know, it's just, and then we have to get our safety vehicles down there, fire trucks. It's nice to have that additional width in the street.
When do you anticipate taking this out to bid?
I'm hoping we can get it out. I told you guys a couple weeks, and I feel firmly believe now that we are right there. Jenny's got the design documents or the bid documents almost ready to go. Nate's got the plans almost 95, 98%. I wanted to meet with Mr. Bachicha on the electrical. It appears that the electrical plans are ready to go. So.
You know, that's the scary part, as you said, that sewer section there by the bank. You know, that, we ran into that problem when, we were doing that lining a couple of years ago, and that ended up costing quite a bit of additional money because of there was some collapsed lines in there.
I wished we could line that, but it's a broken section, has to be dug up. It's really strange. It starts off, this manhole that's, at Commercial, there's 4 feet of 6-inch line, and then it opens up to a 10-inch, then it opens up to a 12-inch, and then if you come up from the manhole that's in Main Street, it starts out at a 16. So I don't know if they were using multiple pipes when they built that in the day, but 6 inches definitely, it's a gridlock because there is sewer coming down, commercial, there's sewer coming down First Street, and then it turns and heads north down commercial.
So you're talking about replacing that line from Main Street all the way up, is that up to?
I would, that's what my recommendation would be, and then we'd probably go in with either a 10-inch or a 12-inch line all the way.
It's probably around
At the
100.
very minimum, if we don't have the money, we'd like to replace at least 20 feet, get it past our improvement area right here. That way down the road, we don't have to tear up any of our improvements on First and Commercial. Unfortunately, that section of Commercial Street it's not that old, it's only,
Mr. Brewer, can you check with Talitha to look into see if there's any money from the infrastructure dollars that are out there? Because I know there's a lot of, sewer and type dollars available,
There is.
and might be able to procure some money to do that.
I agree.
Yeah, and Mr. Mayor, that's a really good point. Ideally, this would be a standalone project.
Right.
But to Bob's point, we don't wanna do First Street and Convent in that intersection, then have to tear it all up a couple months later. So if we can find money to do the project in tandem, that's ideal.
Right.
So that's what we'll work for, but absolutely, I will get with Talitha and we'll start tracking down some funding and see what we can find.
The other thing that I don't know if they would do this or not, if we were to expend the money from our own till, and then if we were to get the funds from the IJA
Yeah.
money to backfill it, but sometimes they won't allow you to do that.
I don't think so.
Probably not, but it's worth asking.
Yeah.
Bob, you said that right now do we have $5 million to do this project?
We have 5.4 set aside, correct, Cheryl?
Yes.
And Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I think those ad alternates that we talked about are gonna be key to the project's success. So once we get the bids in, we'll have a really good idea of what we can and can't do, and we'll get as much of it done as possible. And really hopefully we can get Chestnut and Maple done this round. So we're gonna work as diligently as possible to do as much as we can.
Well,
And,
the other thing too is, like you said, there was some additional money available possibly from DOLA that we're
Yeah.
not utilizing elsewhere, that we could maybe hopefully allow us to transfer it over.
I'm gonna reach out to Tara tomorrow, and I don't know, those were, like I said, those were earmarked for transmission mains, trunk mains. I mean, it's a main, it's just, it might be, but it's not a trunk main. It's,
Is the infrastructure for Maple and Chestnut completed down to First Street? I mean, you have to do any sewer, water, or anything on Maple and Chestnut?
that's what
On
we
the
did
street?
last summer,
But I mean, they're all done, so we don't have.
water and gas was updated last summer, that's correct. That's why it's in disarray. We didn't feel as to go in there and patch it or lay the bricks back in if we're gonna tear it back up again. So that's why we tried to patch it is to be able to make it passable, so.
Are you going to, I know that out at the old foundry, that's where they had palletized all the old brick, are you guys gonna use some of that brick?
Our plan for our grant, or the DOLA is, we have to use some of the existing brick. Well, I don't think we have enough brick, so we will probably utilize some of the original brick in the intersections, and a lot of the roadway brick will have to be, it'll probably be new, like we're doing on Americana Road.
Any other questions? I know I get a lot of people asking, when in the heck we gonna get First Street done?
Yeah.
Believe me, we are trying.
Yeah, I know you are.
We did hire another tech,
Yeah.
so that's gonna help, but he doesn't start till the 17th, so.
Anything else? Anything else to add, Mr. Rogers?
I don't have anything.
Okay,
Thanks, Bob.
thank you.
guys.
Thanks, Bob. Bobby.
I Item 4, petitions or communications, oral or written. Anybody signed up?
No.
Item 5, consent agenda. Item 5A, approval of the regular meeting minutes of September the 20th, 2022. Item B, approval of special event permit, malt venuous and spirituous request by Trinidad and Los Angeles County Chamber of Commerce at Main Street and Commercial on October the 8th, 2022, the Rad Fest. And we have somebody here from the chamber, I guess. Thanks for being here. Item C, approval of the bills for $1,231,768.12. Item D, approval of the payroll, October 1, 2022 to October 14, 2022, the amount of $427,825.63. Entertain a motion.
So
So,
moved.
second?
Call a vote, please.
DeBono,
Yes.
Griego,
Yes.
Ogletree,
Yes.
Shu,
Yes.
Thurman,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Rico.
Yes. Item 6, public hearings, we don't have any tonight. Item 7, unfinished business, we also do not have any. On item 8, miscellaneous business, 8A, submission to City Council of draft 2022 budget and capital budget estimates and set public hearings on October 18th, 2022 at 6 p.m. Entertain a motion.
So
Mr.
moved.
Mayor, before we have that motion, I just wanted to, there's a typo on the agenda, it's actually the draft 2023 budget.
Okay,
So if
you're
that
right.
can be in the motion, that would be terrific.
Okay. Let me change that to 2023 at 6 p.m.
And Mr. Mayor, just so everyone knows, we will submit a draft budget to you all in the next week or so. This is just setting the public hearing for the
Yeah.
budget process. And
It's
Cheryl
okay,
can answer
he's
your
new.
questions.
So we got a motion.
Oh, never mind, we've got a draft.
He's
budget.
new.
Yeah. Need an entertain a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second?
And discussion, I guess discussion is here, right here.
Yeah.
Take a look at it and let us know if you have questions.
Okay. Well, we will use that for midnight work, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. Any, discussion on the submission at this time?
Not this time.
Okay. Call a vote, please.
DeBono,
Yes.
Griego,
Yes.
Ogletree,
Yes.
Shu,
Yes.
Thurman,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Rico.
Yes. Item 9, council reports, Mr. DeBono.
The Los Angeles County Veterans Council, they're gonna host a Vietnam 50th anniversary commemorative event, next Friday from 10 to 11:30, Holloway Hall, for Wooten location.
That's not this
The
Friday.
14th,
14th.
a week from this Friday.
Is that like the ones that they usually do periodically? Kind of the same thing? Okay.
And that's it.
Squiggle.
Have not much. I did go to the space to create, I thought we had a good showing,
Yeah.
from council there. It was very nice. That building is just amazing what they did to the inside of that building. I'm so old, I remember that was the Ford Motor,
Oh, yeah.
they're showing.
Wow.
Ford
Yeah.
Motor
Wow.
Company, yeah.
Really?
And I am not a
Model Ts?
liaison. Pardon?
I wonder.
She's the young lady, stop that.
I asked for it. I am not a liaison for Noah's Ark, but, I am deeply involved, just to let you know, we have a feral cat problem in Trinidad. There's colonies of 15 or 20 cats, and what happened is, over the past couple of years, because of COVID, nobody was doing anything about these cat colonies, so this week, Noah's Ark is sponsoring an event called the Bergen Spay and Neuter Clinic, and so they're spaying and neutering feral cats.
If you can catch them.
What we're doing, we're providing the traps. You trap them, take them down, we take care of them, then they
Could we
release
set
them.
up a raccoon cat war?
There you go.
possibly?
Yeah.
We don't do raccoons.
I know.
They're too dangerous. But hopefully it'll help the feral cat problem, but it's dogs and cats.
Yeah, you read that,
Yeah, that's it.
I was really happy about how the Space to Create opening went. I think that was great. It was a great community event. A lot of people came out. It was really nice to see. And then today I went to a meeting with the county commissioners and the new CEO of New Elk, a man named Jonathan Romkey from Australia, and his liaison and the folks out at the airport. And it was a really interesting discussion. The county's would very much like to partner with the city to do some improvements out there. They've repaired the runway, they've done some paving around the hangars, and I think correctly think that one of the keys to economic development in this area is improving the usage of that airport and the capacity of that airport. So it was an interesting discussion with them, and I encourage them to keep reaching out to us to talk about such matters.
Erin,
Yeah.
did they say how much usage our airport gets?
Well, while I was there, which was just an anecdotal thing, there were a lot of touchdowns. The Air Force is using that facility for training, and so there were planes coming in and out, but landing and taking off constantly while I was there. And he did mention that it was busy today, busier than usual, but it gets consistent use, and there are several hangars out there already, and they'd like to build another one. So I'm sorry, I meant to mention, the mine is interested in the airport because what they do in Australia is they have miners that are situated in different parts of the country, and they bring them in for 7-day shifts, and they fly them from different parts of the country to where their mines are. And they'd like to try to do something like that in the United States, where they get people from West Virginia and other Pennsylvania, other places where there's coal mining going on, and bring them in, provide housing for them, and then take them back. And then another group that goes in and out, because getting experienced mining labor has been tough for them. So that's their particular interest, is making sure that runway could accommodate the planes that they would be using to take people back and forth.
Thank you.
There will be a meeting for Parks and Rec on the 17th coming up. I think they want council and other boards to come together and meet on that day. That's per Jim Green. Also, I think Jared Chatterley is going to be heading up that meeting. I'm not sure.
What date is that?
17th. They just want to talk about who they want to get to do the master plan. But after listening to what they did with the art and everything, maybe they could handle that a little bit more on their side versus trying to.
It's a little more complicated what you all are facing.
It's a little bit more complicated, but the old master plan is still holding.
Well, it's kind of like, what they did is they reached out and they, reviewed some of the master plans that other communities have, and looks like they put it all together, so and they did I think they did a great job, so.
Yeah,
They just, I just think they need to do a little bit more research, like you said.
Very true.
I have no update for this meeting there.
Okay. Like you just said, the Space Creek grand opening, I thought was a huge success, and, thank, board, council members that were there thank you for being there. This weekend, there's the Rad Fest that is happening again, so I talked to, the lady that, is running the show, and she said that, we have a little over 700 cyclists that are gonna be here. Last year we had 600 and some. This year we're getting a little over 700 from what they've got signed up. I think it's just going to be probably a Friday evening and a Saturday, event. I don't think there's anything Sunday. I'm not sure.
They cut down on their events, and they have more cyclists.
Well,
They didn't do the running.
Yeah, they don't have the foot, running this year, so that's okay. but you know, the cyclists are the ones that really bring in the people.
So you're gonna go back out to, you were.
I'm gonna go out and volunteer this year
Yeah.
again.
You all right?
Yeah, I'll be out there. What else I have? And I just wanna say, you know, the river cleanup this last weekend, there were several people, probably what, about 55 people somewhere around there? The
Yeah.
college students were there, Frank was there, thank you for being there. And, one thing I noticed is, that, you know, I went out to Walmart and that, O'Reilly, that is disgusting. Pardon, it is disgusting, what they leave out there. You would think that they would have a little bit more pride in our community, but they don't do a doggone thing. And the trash that was out there was just unbelievable. I mean, I just worked, you know, I almost feel like we ought to set up
The river ain't no better. In an hour, I picked up 2.5 big trash bags, and I only went less than a half a block. And the graffiti down there is ridiculous. I mean, the river looks terrible down there.
I just wish that the businesses, especially those two businesses out there, would try to have a little bit more pride in our community.
Yeah.
To try, because it's such a,
Well, I think that,
Spotlight.
a lot of that is the wind and stuff, because, you know, people walk out of Walmart, they throw trash there and it blows over there, and, you know, same thing down here at McDonald's. I picked up, I don't know how many containers that had McDonald's on it, and it just blew across that field. And we need to start a bonfire down there in that one section there. I mean, seriously, a controlled burn, because the weeds are so thick that you can't pick up the trash. I mean, there's just no way to get it, and I don't think you could even cut it with that. Well, we might be able to do it with that one we have, but, and I'm talking right across from McDonald's in where that railroad area is, and it's terrible. There's just trash there, and, you know, I worked there with Bob Philbin from the college. He was there. Me and him he picked up a bag and a half, and I picked up and we couldn't even get all of it. And that's like I say, because it's so thick to walk through there. And then we got guys staying underneath the bridges, and it's a shame.
one of the things about that O'Reilly's that I found out is right by the O'Reilly's, is that people go out and I think what they do is they get those rags, and then they check their oil and they just throw it.
Yeah.
And, it's bad, put it that way. It's just really, really sad. And, the last thing I had is I talked to Mr. Ruger about this, and, wanted to try to come up with what we call a leadership summit. And, this would be, the city, there would be like probably, Mr. Ruger, myself, Mayor Pro Tem, one of the city, or one of the county commissioners, CEO of the hospital, school districts around, Department of Human Services, come together, let's take a look what the community looks like. I know you've talked about recreation. Let's throw recreation, let's throw education in there. What does this community look like today, and where do we need to go, and what do we need to do to move to the next step? That's really the idea behind this, so we'll see if that'll come together, but I know I talked to Steve about pulling it together, so we'll see what we can do. We'll probably have that done before we have our strategic planning meeting. We're probably maybe our strategic planning meeting sometime in November. So we're gonna try to have this, summit probably later this month, so we'll work on that. Mr. Ruger, what do you have?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, just a couple of things. So first of all, the work session for next week on Monday conflicts with the candidate forum that happens that evening. So we're moving the work session time to 3 p.m. Just wanted to let everyone know that, and we'll send out some communications on that as well. There was a bill that I believe was in the House. I don't know if any of you all were tracking that, but it would enable counties to form their own urban renewal. And I just wanted to let everyone know that was something we've been tracking, because we're not really sure how that would work logistically. That bill has died in policy committee, so not something we have to worry about this year, but it may come back next year. And if it does, we'll be in communication as to what the impacts might be for Los Animas County and Trinidad. And then lastly, I just wanted to, some of you know this already, but just for the public, I wanted to thank Bob and our public works crews. They put a bear-proof trash can out at the wormhole. So I was glad to see that we followed up on that request and are making some progress out there. So that's all I have for you all tonight.
Mr. Downs?
Ma'am?
Oh, I just wanted, I know the city doesn't recognize Columbus Day, but that is a holiday Monday. So it's business as usual at City Hall.
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Griego, yes, we are not closed, we are open for business on Columbus Day.
There are various holidays then,
Right.
and yeah,
I think
that's
we
correct.
switched out from the Christmas
Right,
Eve.
exactly, that's absolutely correct. Mayor and council members, thank you. I want to let you know that it's everyone's favorite time of year now, no, not fall. It's the city attorney evaluation time.
Oh.
So, yeah, so next meeting.
That's why you brought us all these bags.
That's right, exactly, gift bags. Yeah, no, I did not. That's a good idea. So on the 18th, we'll have an executive session for my evaluation, and Ms. Valencic is going to be sending you forms. They will have all the highest marks already pre-checked for your evaluating convenience. No, she'll be sending you forms, so please look for those, and just wanted to let you know. And that's all I have, thank you.
I do have one question for Cheryl. I have this down. What do our bad debts look like this year? Are we experiencing higher bad debts?
Can't ask me that on the spot. I'll
Okay.
have to look it up and get back to
Yeah, if
you.
you could get, maybe that was some information. I know that's something.
They're lower quite a
Oh,
bit
they
from
are?
what they
Okay.
used to be, just, I can't give you, how much and a percentage of it on the spot.
Well, it's just good to know that they're lower than they
Yes,
have been
they
in
are
the past, so
lower.
that's good to know. And the other thing I saw in there was that there was some light bulbs for the Christmas decorations for $7,000. Is that just replacement bulbs? Is that what it was?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, we've gotten criticism in the past for our attempts at holiday lighting, so this year we are beefing that up. But, so it is for new lights, however, we expect them to last for several years.
Okay.
So it wouldn't be a $7,000 request every year.
Okay, all right, thank you. Anything else? Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
call vote please.
DeBono?
Yes.
Griego?
Yes.
Ogletree? Yes. Shu?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes.
Williamson?
Yes.
Rico?
Yes.
Who is responsible for these goodie bags?
I don't know.
Chad?
Do you know who's responsible for their goodie bags?
Oh, Jared.
I